Welcome to episode 30 of the Fitasylum podcast. Today we're joined by Nick Davis. Nick, how are you getting on? And thank you for coming on the podcast.
I'm all right. I'm very well. What a good setup this is. If I knew I'd come like this professional, I generally would have. I'd have got my hair cut and everything.
That kind of leads us quite nicely. The first time I ever saw you was at Dex Barbers.
Oh yeah, it were, wasn't it? Yeah, good old Dex Barber.
That must have been about 10 years ago.
Yeah, easily 2013.
Yeah.
Easily. Yeah.
Oh yeah, 10 years ago.
Yeah, something like that. Doesn't it feel like when you go, it's 2023? 10 years ago, I think like.
I was a kid, but I wasn't.
I think when I was 15 or something like that, it's like, no, Nick, you're 30 now. Like, yeah.
So yeah, that is crazy. But yeah, it is a good little setup, and
I like it. It's really good.
Good little podcast, and the whole point of the podcast is to help the students that we have, either in education at the moment or kind of post-education, because you'll know as a PT, it is really difficult to find good sources of information and people to trust within the industry.
Absolutely.
And there's also a lot of misinformation about what makes a good PT and how they glamorize the industry. So we're very honest with our students. We tell them it takes a lot of work, a lot of hours, and it's a lot of failure.
Absolutely, yeah, completely. I remember like qualifying as a personal trainer, and I landed on a gym floor, and everything I found easy, like movement wise, no one could do. And I remember being on the course I qualified from. Obviously, it was a great course and everything, but they don't go into that detail of why people potentially have the issues with movement and stuff like they do. I remember just thinking, what am I going to do here? And I was actually PTing out of an independent gym, which was an amazing gym, but you'd say it was more specified for
specific
people. I had more people who would say were advanced into the journey. So your CrossFit athlete, maybe your powerlifting athlete, Olympic weightlifters, a little bit of like strength kit and stuff. But so I was like, I've got
specialist gym.
Yeah, I didn't have the luxury of just going right. We'll just put you on the pin machines and go from there. So that was like a massive kind of wow, like. It's not going to be as simple as here's a workout, let's go and do it, some calories and then you go, do you know what I mean?
It is, and I think we always say this to students, depending on what industry they're in, they need to decide what gym they go to.
Yeah.
So I would have always said a commercial gym for you, because you're such a social person.
Yeah, definitely.
You're like a social butterfly, aren't you?
Definitely, yeah. Since like being at I got PT for a gym in Preston, JD, and it is like just all the members. I've got like I've got loads of younger lads and lads as well, like I have to walk around sitting, they all call me Uncle Nick and stuff like that. It's brilliant, honestly. It's what the people say, what's one of your proudest achievements as a coach, and I say that.
Yeah, because you're helping people.
Yeah, I just love having a chat with like the lads and stuff in there, having a bit of banter and that, and it is great. But like, it's been really good, like having that kind of luxury.
But I bet it hasn't always been like that, and we'll touch on that later.
Yeah.
So where did your fitness journey start? It didn't start at a sub 3 hour marathon.
No, it didn't. So like when I was younger, I was classed like a chubbier kid. Like people like
I've seen your transformation.
Yeah, you call it puppy fat, don't you?
Yeah,
but even like way before that, you kind of I got crucified at school. So I always had this like problem, if you will, with weight, my body image. I remember like we got weighed even back at primary school, and I was like something like 7 or 8 stone, and these lads, I remember they're like 5 and 6 stone, and I remember.
And do you think that kind of like made you think, oh, I'm heavy?
Yeah, like, and you look back now and I think, what the fuck were they doing? So can you swear on me?
Yeah, you can swear on me.
I thought, what are they doing weighing us at that age? See, you know what I mean? Like I was active. And
I think if they weighed you and give you some information around it, that might have been a bit more useful.
What can an 8-year-old do with that information?
Yeah, nothing.
Go to my mum, if anything. Do you know what I mean?
Mum, why are you feeding me all those turkey dinosaurs?
Yeah, that's it, innit? But yeah, so it kind of started from there, and then I got into kind of like I played football, sports at school, and I wasn't bad at them, wasn't great neither, but I wasn't bad at them. But always had this like kind of complex about my body, and like I had like issues growing up with substance misuse. It started at like 16, and then it kind of was a prominent part of my life until 2023. And every time I'd like try and, because I knew there was a problem there was a lot of instances, what you could say, there's issues with drugs here. And I'd be like, right, I'm going to stop and I'm going to get into, like, I thought if I just get myself into fitness, and it was running. Yeah. I just used to go running all the time, and I got like quite obsessed with running. I remember running myself to like 9.5 stone. Like I remember having a kidney infection and still trying to go running.
You were obsessed.
Yeah, I completely, like, it just went from one place to another. Anyway, I also like, did a little bit of lifting at this time, but they didn't really enjoy it. Do you know when you just go in and you do like, I remember going to a local gym in Preston, an independent gym, and like only being 16, you just like chest, arms and stuff like that. And I hated it, to be fair.
Every time
I was one of them actually used to think if you lift weights, you'd get massive like that. I remember thinking, I remember thinking I'll be like, I don't want to be that big in like next 3 months. You know what I mean? Just mad stuff like that. And that's kind of where it went and how it went. So yeah, it started with like the running, and it kind of just progressed from there. And then when I stopped drinking and taking drugs 6 years ago, and touch wood, continue to this day not to go back down that path. That's like kind of time on my hands, and that's when I started going to the gym. And then I just went for something to do, if I'm honest. And I had all this time. And then before I know it, like a few people were like, your body's really changed shape. And it just kind of become like a curious fascination. But it was really a lot around struggling with weight loss and seeing so much stuff out there. I remember reading articles on actors and how they transform the body in 6 weeks. And you being like...
Men's health.
Yeah, all that blitz your belly in 6 minutes. And and you think...
Misinformation.
Really bad. Like
terrible advice.
Yeah, and like I think like the generation that I'm in, like we're in, to be fair, like we were sold this dream. I remember reading like, I think it's Jake Gyllenhaal's Southpaw transformation. Everyone's seen the film, and like great film. He was running 10 miles in the morning, boxing training and lifting weights, and he put like 21 pounds of muscle on in 4 months. It's like, yeah, mate, he didn't, did he? And if he did, he's taking something
exactly,
which is really going to help that process. But in my head, I thought, if I just do that, I'll look like that.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
You think A to B?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, completely.
And for anyone listening, Nick trains more, as he calls it, bin lids more than anyone I know.
You know, it's taken off a bit these days.
Has it?
Yeah,
I used to train chest 3 or 4 times a week.
Absolutely, yeah. But I don't. I only train with weights now like 2 or 3 times a week.
Nice.
Obviously, I really love my running. It's stuff around what I try to do to support my running, injury prevention stuff.
Nice.
Stuff like that.
This is where I think your knowledge has definitely developed.
It's because we've done a podcast before, haven't we?
We have.
We've done a podcast before, and do you know what? Like, I can like give you a bit of credit here. I remember like, obviously, you think you know a bit, don't you? When you get into lifting and like you've dropped a bit of weight and you've followed certain accounts on social media about fat loss and stuff. You think you know a bit, and then I remember coming to you, and I was in quite a bad way with injuries.
Yeah.
My back and other bits, hips. Yeah.
I remember them being bad.
I've got a hip injury now.
Back injury, hip.
Yeah, and I remember speaking to you and Tom, who you've had on the podcast, and then the stuff you were talking about, the movement mechanics stuff. I remember thinking, this is a different ballgame. I know nothing.
It's called the knowledge curve, isn't it? We all go through it where you think you know everything and then it kind of plateaus out.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think when you meet people like who you work with now, but also like I've met Tom, Pish, Coach Gators, who's coming in later, like especially Coach Gators, like Chris Gately, he's going to talk later on a podcast about stuff, and I say to him, the world isn't ready for it yet.
Yeah, absolutely. So I follow someone called, I don't know if you know, called David Gray.
Yeah, brilliant.
I've done one of his courses, the lower limbs. I think I'm going through it. Good God, in it, like, it's madness. And what I'd say to any people, I don't want to touch on this, but what I'd say is like, if you go and follow people like that,
100%.
Like the reps and sets and the nutrition within our kind of like what you're qualified to give, for example, like that's the easy part.
It is.
That's relative. That's about adherence, how you can motivate people, etc. So it's not easy, but do you know what I mean? But then it's like I think these are really important things that we need to kind of. What I know for myself, I wanted to know more about, so I could help people on a greater kind of spectrum, just away from, okay, we can make you drop 10, 12 pounds, for example, in 7, 8 weeks or something like that.
So 6 years ago, would you ever imagine you're in this position now when you just finished the drugs?
Never. I knew I wanted to like help people when kind of see I'd like the life experience of someone with a drug problem, and I did like jobs which entailed helping people in drug services, alcohol services.
I remember that when you started PT and you were still doing that, weren't you?
Yeah, literally. And so like I always wanted to help people. Then like it really kicked off where a lot of my mates were like, Nick, you should really do this because you're passionate about it. Like, so go and do it. And I thought, just got to that place. You think, you know what? Yeah, it's time to roll the dice, innit?
So when you were at school, you were a good educator, you were a good student.
In stuff I was interested in. So I'm diagnosed with ADHD recently, actually, and it's one of them where if you're talking to me about a subject where I haven't really got an interest in it, I'm like,
you'll switch off.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like my missus is like, she goes, you're there, but you're not there.
Yeah.
But now it's like, but then with something that I enjoy, I'm just like.
So if you're picking a sofa, you're not that bothered. But if it came into, if she was like, talk about Dr. Andrew Locke was showing you this research study, you'd be all in that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's that's kind of what it is. But no, I never really thought I'd be in the where I am now, to be fair.
So what did your fitness journey teach you, your personal fitness journey?
Oh, that's a really good question. Patience.
Wow.
And resilience.
I think it's an important one.
Patience and resilience, and kind of you have no other option than to keep turning up.
Yeah, 100% consistency.
So obviously, like with kind of what you do with my marketing on Instagram and stuff like that, or even with clients who I engage with, I always just say, like, I just think, tell people the truth, and that I always get asked that, how long will this take?
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm just like, I just say, well, it could take forever, and it will take forever. It's as simple as that. It's a lifestyle. Yeah,
it's a change of disciplines and habits.
Don't understand, like, where if you taper off. In lockdown, I didn't train.
Yeah,
and I could show you a photograph of kind of what in the 6 months within that lockdown when I weren't training and I was just not really paying attention to my nutrition. Like I got unfit.
Yeah,
I become unfit. So it's forever in maintenance. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
But I'll say it's people have long-term goals with a short-term mindset.
100%. I always say to people, it's like brushing your teeth.
You do it every morning.
Yeah, you do it every single day.
Yeah.
You know, and why is your health and fitness any different?
Yeah, exactly.
I have clients who used to turn up in like 50 to 100 grand cars, and I used to say to them, you would spend that amount of money on a car and time and effort,
absolutely,
but you wouldn't go and do that on your fitness. Like I had a client who would drive all the way to Italy to view these really nice cars in Maranello, and then he'd drive one back and he'd think nothing of spending 2 weeks doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
And he'd do like car shows and stuff, which is great. I understand people have hobbies and passions. But he'd spend every week, he'd clean his car at least once, sometimes twice. Same with your body. You only get one body. I said you can replace that car anytime, but you can't replace the body ever. So, you know, and it was really interesting that it's shifted his mindset and he became a fantastic little athlete. Yeah,
and that's the thing in it, where I'm like, I feel like myself, where I've gone on my own journey where I've pushed my body quite since I stopped drinking. I've really pushed my body in like certain endeavours, like with my running and stuff. And now it kind of like, I look at things and think, it's more towards health and longevity, and like I'm a personal trainer who's had personal trainers, and people can't believe that. They cannot believe. I
still think you need personal trainers. 100%. I think I still use coach.
Yeah, coaches need coaches. So does that matter when coaches need coaches?
Why would you expect someone to pay for your service if you're not willing to pay for the exact same service?
100%, and it's like, and it's just that, because I will think absolutely nothing of spending 6-7 quid on coffee a day
and monsters.
What? But then when it comes to like my health, my well-being, both physical and mental, I'm looking at penny pinching. I just and that's something I preach now. Do you know what I mean? Where
I do the same. I talk to people about supplements. I say to people, like, you don't need supplements, but when they're like 5-6 years in, they're probably looking at getting supplements, and then they're like, oh, we'll buy these organic ones, but they're really expensive. But I say to them, like, how much do you spend on that bottle of wine? He's like, oh, 150 quid.
Yeah, that's big, isn't it?
And I'm like, but you've drank that on a Friday night.
Yeah.
So 150 quid.
Like if you go out a couple of nights a week, a couple of nights a month now.
Yeah, it's so expensive.
Boom, straight away. It's probably like the cost of PT services, online or in person.
You talked there a little bit about your addiction.
Yeah.
So how have you helped people with addiction? How have you done fundraisers? Tell us a little bit about that, because I remember you doing a massive fundraiser that was so successful. It was in the news. It was everywhere. We did that podcast on it.
We did.
You finished it at the gym. You did amazing. What was it that you did? Was it a marathon and a half?
Yeah, it was 40 miles.
40 miles. Amazing.
It was 40 miles. I was working for a company which was subcontracted by the community mental health team. Brilliant company, really good staff, great what they did. So that when I kind of cleaned up, that's the type of work I was doing. I also work with adults with learning disabilities, so I raised some money for them as well within that run, and that was just another job where you feel like you're giving back, sort of thing. In terms of like what I've kind of done, say for anyone struggling with drugs and misuse, it's more. I'd always look to signposts. Like I'm not a qualified professional. I have my own lived experience, and like it's something where you got to be quite careful of, I suppose.
Yeah, 100%.
You're dealing with people's welfare, and I always say like contact a doctor and relevant service. But yeah, I've raised money for. It was, I think, it was Charity Mind.
I remember you did Mind.
The mental health one, mental health charity. And then I've been recently involved in the last couple of years with the Mary O'Gara Foundation.
I saw
That's
that.
for prevention with suicide in young people. We've done I did a 30 miler in a 20 kilo vest for that. And
that was brutal. Was that Blackpool?
no, that Blackpool was a 40.
Right.
The 30 mile was round the Guild Wheel.
Yep.
And then I did the Goggins this year,
Wow.
which is 4 miles every 4 hours, 48 hours. That again in a 20 kilo vest.
Jeez, what an animal.
Yeah, it's just like something I'm quite passionate about, giving
back.
Yeah, giving back and like helping relevant services, I identify, which I could say identify with, just with fundraising sort of thing, yeah. So
Did you partake in the golf day?
I didn't. I've never swung a golf.
I know, that's why I was interested, because I would love to see that, Nick.
No, that's my friend. I think my friend David does that. But I'd be a bandit. I've got quite a few mates who've done it. Yeah, it's meant to be a brilliant. I went to the evening do, so it was a brilliant night. Yeah, it was quality. It was quality, really good.
Good stuff. And what would you say you've learnt most about the industry since you've been in it? Tell us a little bit about your journey in the industry, because I wanted to get you on the podcast because you have so many fantastic stories, and I think you could impart wisdom to many a student.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your journey, because it's not easy. It's never a straight line.
So like I get asked all the time, think about doing my PT calls, what do you think? And I always like kind of say, great, brilliant, you enjoy exercise, and if you want to help people, the two go hand in hand. But a lot of people, it's like obviously you want to get paid for what you do, but I think there's so many people who've done amazing to themselves, like big personalities on Instagram, and people just think, I'll just get qualified, go online, and then I'll be absolutely fine. It don't work out that way. It don't work out like I touched on my previous jobs before, which were all emotionally, mentally demanding jobs. This is the hardest job I've ever done.
100%.
Because I left my PT qual with nothing, like I got my certificates and a base knowledge, but nothing about much about marketing, how to create lead gen and stuff like that. And I actually went to an independent facility, which probably people say is a bit backward. They probably say go to commercial first, then like transition independent. But they offered me a really good deal.
I remember you asked me about it.
Yeah, they offered me a really, really good deal, and the coaches there were out of this world.
Yeah.
Like really cool.
I remember saying to you, that's the biggest selling point.
That's what it were for me. Yeah. That's what it were. I thought, if I can learn, because I have a fascination with strength and conditioning, and I thought if I can learn from some of these lads, which I did, I thought that this is kind of it. And I'm fortunate, if you will, to say like some of the fundraisers I've done have kind of my work page was actually a fundraising page before I kind of transitioned it to work.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It was running with Nick.
It was, yeah.
It was running with Nick, and it already had traction, so I was able to pick like my first few clients up relatively quickly. I do think the setup they had there, which is a quiet gym policy, helps a lot of people with obviously people who struggle with the anxiety of commercial gyms and stuff. But yeah, so that's where I kind of started there. And it was just like, it really hit me like a ton of bricks, like how difficult the
PT is.
Yeah, it's like, obviously it's a very saturated market.
But not of quality either.
Yeah, it's like...
I actually think Preston has a lot of very good gyms and a lot of very good personal trainers, coaches, but I think there's also a lot that are not so good.
Yeah, it's like, I know like there's plenty of people who you can make great money, and like, so I've been very lucky to pay my bills from kind of the get-go from personal training. I just want to make clear, when I first started, I didn't have a Scooby-Doo what I was doing.
I remember you saying.
I remember just being like,
how do I do it?
What's going on? Like, yeah, this is crazy.
How do I get clients?
Yeah, like, and also like I'd say my coaching quality was probably not fantastic, and then it's like, I still done well, but you wouldn't have said I was a great PT.
No.
You probably would have said he's great with people.
Yeah.
But not as like, which is a part of being a good PT, but 100%. I wasn't like a great coach. Do you know what I mean? And
you were good at talking to people. You did the personal side of personal training really well.
Absolutely.
But I think that's what people bought into, pal. I think people bought into your personality.
Yeah.
And then you've worked really hard to become a really good coach.
That's kind of where I'm at now, where it's just about now I just want to be a very good coach, in terms of I want to be able to deliver a really good service for clients who may return to me or work with me, and so on and so forth. In terms of like we just touched on before, fat loss as a whole is relatively easy to cover. There's that much information out there. But it's like, for me, I just want to make sure that I've got my clients have got a great relationship with food. They've got great, they're moving better, they're feeling better, they're more energized, and that doesn't always come down to just here's some calories and some workouts, does it?
No.
It comes down to kind of all different types of things. So that's kind of where I'm at the minute. I keep umming and ahhing about going to uni and doing strength and conditioning.
Nice. I think you'd be amazing at it.
I've like nearly motored through to level 4, which was like a bit like I've got advices to do that, see what I thought about it. It's okay, but then there's something just within me where I think maybe it's just thinking like time and balance. Yeah, it's a real itch. It's really itching me.
Have you spoke to Rosie about it?
Yeah, she just wants me to. Yeah, she just wants me to do whatever makes me happy. To be fair, like that's the great thing, and that's what some like probably weren't going to touch on, but it's so important. Like I come into the industry a little bit older.
Yeah.
Like 28.
Yeah.
28.
Which is older.
And me and Rosie have been together for a couple of years, and
I'd been in the industry 12 years when you came in.
Yeah. And it's like you look just a little bit older and you don't understand like how much of a toll it could take on your relationship.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Like I'm not there in the morning, I'm not there in an evening.
100%.
The self-employed aspect of it is all-consuming at times. You know, there's been many a months where I thought we are close to the red here.
Yep.
You have to deal with, let's be honest, not being paid sometimes.
Because clients can be difficult.
Yeah, and that can be that's quite difficult to manage and stuff. But yeah, she's really supportive, and I think like she's played a massive part in like and she's not that she works for me, but like she's helped me with my social media. She puts posts on for me. And
that's very supportive.
Yeah, she's brilliant.
So anyone listening, obviously make sure you have a good support network about it if you're looking to be a PT.
Absolutely, that's it. And that's kind of what I feel like I've had the advantage, and I've always had that like people. I've had really good people who've supported me. You know, like whether it's been like yourself. I remember like when I moved gyms, you was on the other end of the phone saying, because there's a few situations, you was like, Nick, if you need a place at the moment, we can facilitate that. And I've been really fortunate.
No, that's awesome, that mate.
Yeah,
mate. I think I could talk to you all day about this. Yeah. But where can people find you on social media?
So predominantly Instagram.
Nice.
At N Davis Coaching, Davis without an E, so it's NDAVIS, and then the coaching. I'm also on Facebook. I don't really do much on Facebook. No, if I'm honest. I'm predominantly.
I don't think many people do.
Yeah, I'm predominantly on Instagram. Got 2 clients, had them in this morning. Liv and Daisy. And they're 19 and 20, like, you need to go on TikTok, Nick. I'm like,
you're feeling old now.
If I go on TikTok, you're running it for me, sort of thing. They're brilliant. But yeah, but I haven't got TikTok, so I'm predominantly Instagram.
Nice.
Yeah, I do. I enjoy Instagram.
We will link Nick's details below, and we'll also link the charities.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So that's amazing, and we'll have to get you back on for another pod.
I'd love to. Absolutely. I'd absolutely love to.
Thank you very much for jumping on, mate. And it's amazing to see your journey and how far you've come as a coach yourself.
Yeah, and hopefully long may it continue. Yeah, definitely.
Nice. Thank you very much.
No worries, buddy.